What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 195 of the Tastecast, a weekly podcast where we talk about all things gaming. On this episode, we discuss the PS5 Slim confirmed. I talked about the leaks before, and now we know it's coming. We talk about what we think of it, and then we talk about game releases for October. We talk about Star Trek Infinite. What the hell is that? We talk about Lords of the Fallen. We get prepped and ready for its release, although I'm seeing a lot of influencers playing it already, so I don't quite understand what's going on there. We talk about the games we've been playing. I've played a couple interesting ones, namely the Robocop Rogue City demo, so I'll tell you what I thought of that, and we of course read your comments. So yeah, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe if you're brand new, make sure to comment anything that you're thinking about, make sure to share this with your friends, and I hope you enjoy this Tastecast. What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 195 of the Tastecast, our weekly podcast where we talk about all things gaming. My name's Seth, and joining me today, of course, is Chevy on my left to your right. Chevy, you have a trip coming up soon, so hopefully that's a good one. Hopefully you're excited for that, and hopefully you're excited to have this discussion where we'll be talking about quite a few things in this episode. Before you leave, how you doing, and are you excited to go on vacation-ish?
I don't know if I call it so much a vacation as much as a... Well, I mean, in short, I'm going to someone's wedding, so
It's a trip.
it'll be fine. It's a lot of traveling, though. I'll try to make the most of it. But yeah, it should be good. I am off again shortly after that. I'm excited for that because I get to just sit on my butt.
So you're going to be doing like a staycation type thing?
Yeah, I think it's the first one this year. Every bit of time off I've had this year, I've traveled somewhere this year. So.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of traveling this year as well, so I'm looking forward to my next vacation where I do just stay home and play some stuff. Every once in a while, it's nice to not go anywhere and do anything and have things you have to plan out to do. So
Definitely.
Well, hopefully that goes smoothly, and you'll be gone shortly, so we'll have you back soon to do more episodes, of course. I'm doing good as well. I am a little upset because I was trying to source things to kind of talk about for this episode, and things are a little slim right now, including the news that there is a PlayStation 5 Slim finally confirmed, which we will cover here in a second. But yeah, gaming news right now kind of sucks. I know, all the main events are pretty much over at this point. So
Outside of Game Awards.
Yeah, which we will, probably get some reveals there. But yeah, it's a little slim right now. Games are coming out, which we'll be talking about, game releases. And yeah, so bear with us on this episode. We got stuff to talk about, but nothing super exciting in my opinion. But the conversation will be worth it. So yeah, with that, let's talk about the first thing that I kind of alluded to, which is that there is a confirmed PS5 Slim coming out this holiday. You can see on the screen right here. Where is this? This is the Slim. Okay, it just said PlayStation 5, so I was like, wait, are they going to have a comparison here? So this is basically the Slim, something that that I've covered the leaks on early on with a detachable disc drive. There's also a digital version, which I think is like $50 more than the original digital version, which is kind of confusing, but I'm sure there's a reason for that. I do believe it has more storage than the original, so that's probably the difference there. But yeah, there's the main look of the new Slims. They have been confirmed. Here's another angle of them. They have an interesting line down the side, which makes sense in the design because of the disk drive you can take on and off, which costs additional. It also has like a kickstand I saw somewhere that's a part of that line as well that you pull down so it stays balanced when you have it on side. And it will have there's a picture of the disk drive being removed, so it's modular, which makes a lot of sense since the leaks have been saying it makes more sense to make a PS5 and then have an detachable thing like that, because then you're making one PS5 across the board. Small video, I already went through it. It basically just announces that it's a thing, and then that's it. So, yeah, we have pricing here in the U.S. The PS5 with Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive will be $499.99 USD, and then the digital edition will be $449.99 USD. So a $50 price difference, which I do believe the disk drive itself is going to cost 80. So you are getting a deal on the disk drive if you buy it. You're saving a little bit there. So, and then for anybody possibly from elsewhere, it will cost €449.99, and for the disk drive version, and €449.99. Did I say €549.99? And then the digital edition will be €449.99. So there's the difference there. And then I'm not sure what this is. Is that pound?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shows how ignorant I am when it comes to the abbreviation of that. It will cost the Blu-ray disc version $479.99 GBP, and then the digital edition in the UK will be $389.99 GBP. And then Japan. I don't think we got a whole lot of people watching from Japan here, so. Yeah, and then it'll have a base that you can have it sit on vertically that will also be sold separately, which is kind of interesting. And that will be $54.99. Wait,
it's up here. 30.
Oh, it's up here. Okay, yeah. It's $29.99 USD and €29.99. So you have to buy that stand if you want to sit vertically. Although I do think it's a more simple and interesting looking stand than the one that's currently on the PS5 now, which has a really interesting engineering design to it, but is a little bit of a hassle because you have to open a little slot, pull out a screw, hook the thing up, and then attach the thing to it. So it's kind of it's a small thing, but it's kind of interesting. So that is that basically. And in my notes I have it is 30% smaller than the original, 18% lighter, 24% for the digital edition. So that's the difference between having a disk drive and not. Has 1 terabyte of storage versus the 825 gigabytes of the original, and then has 2 USB-C ports, which is interesting. And then the optional disk drive, which is $80. What do we think of the Slim? Also worth noting, no hardware differences outside of the terabyte storage. I saw people on X, formerly Twitter, asking a lot about, they're like confused on why there's no hardware upgrades. Like, this isn't a Pro model, this is a Slim model. It's just a smaller model. So
it's not the first time that Sony has done this. So.
Or most consoles. Like a lot of people make Slim versions of their consoles.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's kind of par for course. And if I read correctly as well, like, they are done producing the original model at this point. So whatever's in the wild, that's it.
Keep it.
And this will replace that on the shelves over time. I actually think it is a better model in theory. Obviously, we have to wait in the long term to see how it performs, because obviously as you move stuff around, we might run into heat issues or something. So who knows in that regard. Also, it has more parts. So, is breakage going to happen, etc.
Less parts the better for sure when it comes to most things.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of unknowns, but as far as like appearance, I actually think it looks a little nicer I think the line actually adds a nice accent to it that the first one's kind of missing. I think the modular idea should have just been standard in the first place. Yep. So it's the right move forward. Also makes it, I imagine, easier from a production standpoint, because they can just make one model, which probably was on their mind anyways because of the headache during, as we all know, the shortages of chips and stuff like that made all things with microchips in it hard to make, and they really suffered from that as well. So
it also, thinking about their competition with Xbox, alleviates some pressure that Xbox is going to struggle with trying to do themselves. Obviously, Microsoft has the resources to do whatever they want and then quit whatever they want whenever they want, but they do have a hard 2 different consoles, as opposed to now Sony is moving towards just having one console until without different models until a pro model comes out. So that'll be a lot better for them on a production level.
Yeah, and that is if they even do that. They may just opt to go to the next number as well. We'll see.
That'd be crazy. I do expect a pro model, but I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard any whispers of that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, I do wonder, obviously this is going to be good for new customers, into the PlayStation ecosystem. But I know with the PlayStation that we have, you can buy the plates for the outside, and with that now that slot there, because you could take off just part of it, that investment's kind of wasted. So yeah, it's even taller too. So yeah,
I forgot I had this on my tabs, but I have a comparison on screen right now of the PS5 and the PS5 Slim next to each other. And even though a lot of people are saying that it's still pretty big, it's actually a pretty significant difference if this is accurate.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty significant for sure.
Yeah.
Also, 2 USB-Cs is a win, because if you have the VR, for example, that one of your C's is just gone. So
yeah,
it's good to have an extra one.
That's probably why they did it. Except for why would you do that? I know it's just becoming the standard for sure, but
should have been a while ago. But yeah,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying, becoming still, because it's oddly enough not. Because that one slot is being taken up no matter what. If you have PSVR 2, it's good to give you more options, because I think a lot of consoles don't have enough USBs in general.
I think a lot of PCs don't have enough USBs.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's just kind of one of those things you always want/need more. Yeah, I mean, overall, just to repeat myself, I think it's a nice looking console. So hopefully in the long term, it proves to be durable.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I do think, I typically don't think Slim models, sometimes they look better than the original model, but a lot of times they'll look cheap too, especially if they make a second Slim, which we've seen with some consoles before.
Yeah.
Like the second PS3 Slim, I fucking hate the way that thing looks, but you can tell it's a budget, just get it out there and sell it to whoever wants to buy that model that had the sliding thing on the side. I really hated the way that thing looked, and it felt really cheap. So with this being the first iteration of a Slim, and probably the last one, but we'll see. Hopefully it feels premium enough. I don't expect it to, because it is going to be the more, I guess, not the budget friendly model, because it's about the same price.
It's just the model now.
Yeah, it's just a smaller version. So it's kind of interesting. So hopefully it feels good. Because that's going to be the big thing. But visually, I think I kind of think it looks better.
The only part I don't like better is this the lip above the disc drive is a lot more flush on the original, and it bumps out pretty hardcore on the new one. So
yeah, I think the original has this monolithic look, which a lot of Sony consoles always have. And I really like it, because as how big it is and stuff, sitting there, it looks almost like a statue. But as just a console, I do kind of like the way it's set up like that, because it almost looks more sci-fi like that, which is really interesting. I do think that the two lines on the side, even though that's for the design of being able to take the thing on and off, I think it looks cool.
Yeah, I think that looks better.
Yeah,
myself, and it adds an accent.
Yeah, and the thing that holds the original PS5, I think in design it's really impressive, and I think it looks more like part of the whole console, which I think is neat. But I think the new one has a more sleek and less notice me design to it that is kind of nice. So overall, I think visually the Slim looks really cool. It does look like just a slimmer version, but it has a couple things about it that makes it not just seem like the cheaper model, because it's really not, but the slimmer and smaller new version of the PS5. So it's really interesting. I don't have it here, but I saw a picture where there's a little kickstand thing if you put it on side, though, to keep it stable if you have the disk drive on. So I'll have to confirm that. As for everything else, more space when it comes to storage. It's not much more, but it's more, so that's a good thing. I do think that memory on the fucking PS5 standard is pretty limited feeling. I'm constantly uninstalling games to reinstall games for like Plus Club and stuff like that. So
I even think, because it's only like 100 and some gigs more, I don't think a terabyte is enough for any modern piece
I agree.
of hardware.
I think you should be starting at 2 terabytes, but I understand the cost point. So they got to sell these things. But yeah, 1 terabyte, like, I mean, I like on my PC, I have 8 terabytes, and not that these need to have that, but I don't think about what I'm installing and uninstalling often. Sometimes if I'm not playing a game enough, I just uninstall it. But
yeah, when I had a terabyte, I was struggling on my PC as well.
I feel like if I was on 2 terabytes, I'd be struggling for me personally because I've got so many games installed. But yeah, it's I do agree with you on that. Price point sounds about right, especially because this is just a replacement. It is kind of bittersweet to hear that the original model is going to be discontinued, so I will be keeping mine no matter what. I still have my PS4 Pro Monster Hunter Edition, just because I think it's cool. So when I was younger, I used to like get rid of my consoles when I was done with them, and then when I got older, I was like, man, I really miss my Dreamcast, so I had to go buy one from I think I got off eBay. So I'm not gonna make that mistake again. I'm just gonna keep my consoles at this point, but. Yeah, it's a little bittersweet, but at least they're replacing it with something that looks really cool and just in time for the holiday season. Makes a lot of sense. I think it's coming out in November, I think it said. I think I said that. But yeah, it looks cool. No difference with with anything else really. It's just the console. So as long as it runs the way it's supposed to run, doesn't have any long-term issues, and specifically with the modularity, is that a word, of all the pieces, hopefully there are no issues with that. And if there's not, great. It's looks like a cool console. So, and again, I think it's really smart on Sony's behalf to simplify and get down to just one console for production, especially if they are planning a Pro. Then they'll have 2 that they've got to put out, and that will be right back to where they're kind of at right now. So, yeah, very cool. Are you going to pick one up? I don't know why you would, but
I'll say it makes no difference to get one. So
yeah.
Plus, I honestly, unless they start selling, because I don't know how the panel thing works on that one compared to the original one, but I was humoring buying a black plastic panel for mine because I hate the white, and all electronics are white right now, and I hate it. So yeah, I would like to get a black case for my console, and then I would like to get the purple and red controllers. So
I think it's kind of interesting that they've just recently released or are releasing new colors for the PS5, and of course there's a lot in the wild already, so it's not like it's a market that's disappearing, but they're gonna have to like do that all over again with this new console now. I'm sure they've planned for it, but
yeah, assuming they do.
Yeah, so. That's true.
But yeah, they just released 3 new colors.
Yeah, yeah. But like I said, there's so many PS5s already in the wild that those are going to get sold. So, but yeah, I'll be curious to see how they handle doing this. If those panels come off now that it's 4 pieces, we'll see. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments what you guys think about this new design when it comes to the PS5. What do you think about it in size compared to the original? What do you think about it being lighter? Does it appeal to you? Are you still in the market for a PS5? And is this something you would want to get? Or do you want the original? Or do you have the original? You have no reason to buy the new one. I asked you just out of curiosity. But like, yeah, we both sell PS5, so there's no point in replacing them really unless you just really liked that visual style.
Yeah. I mean, really, even I'm honestly currently of the mindset, even if a Pro came out, I don't think I would be interested in picking it up right now because
I would.
I only play my PlayStation to play the Plus games.
Yeah.
So otherwise, it doesn't get used. So I couldn't justify spending another 4 or 5 plus on another one. So
yeah, just depend on what it offers, but I mean, just the tech of it alone would make me want to buy it. But I do agree, even though I don't say I don't use my PS5, but I definitely don't use it nearly as much as like my PS4, just because so many of the games that are on PS5 are also on PC. I'm playing on PC typically, so I use my PS5 for exclusives and Plus Club. So, yeah. So let us know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to the Slim. Do you want to pick it up? All right, before we jump into games we've been playing, let's talk about game releases coming out in October, where we go through all the games. We talk about if we're hyped for any of them or if we're not hyped for any of them. Now, it is, as of recording, I think it's technically the 11th, but it was the 10th like an hour ago. So, gives you a little hint on what time it is here. So let's go through the list. This is via thegamer.com, so if there's any errors, it's their fault, not mine. Okay, so on October 3rd, we got Disgaea 7, Vows of the Virtueless on PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. Then on the 3rd as well, we got the Lamplighters League on Xbox Series, PC. Also on the 3rd, Silent Hope on Switch. And the last game on the 3rd was Scorn on PS5. I had no idea that came out on PS5. Then on October 4th, we got Warhammer 40k Dark Tide on Xbox One, Xbox Series, so that's cool to see. October 5th, we got Cricket 24, and everybody's just waiting to play that on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and Switch. Also on the 5th, we got Assassin's Creed Mirage, which I've been hearing pretty decent things about for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. Also on the 5th, we got the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope on Switch. That's cool to see. Then on October 6th, we got Sword Art Online Last Recollection on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PC, and also on the 6th, Detective Pikachu Returns on Switch. Also on the Switch, we got Borderlands 3 that also came out on the 6th. Then on the 10th, yesterday, technically, Forza Motorsport 8 finally came out on Xbox Series and PC. And then on the 11th, we got Total War Pharaoh on PC. Then on the 12th, we got Star Trek is that Infinite or Infinity? Infinite. Yeah. Okay. My brain's not working. On PC. Then on the 13th, we got Lords of the Fallen on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Then on the 16th, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shape on PS5, Xbox Series. Then on the 17th, we got The Caligula Effect 2 on PS5. And then also on the 17th, we got Sonic Superstars on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Then on the 18th, we got Slender, The Arrival on PS5, Xbox Series. And then also on the 18th, Hellboy, Web of Word on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Then on the 19th, we got Endless Dungeon on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Also on the 19th, Gangs of Sherwood on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. 19th as well, we got Inescapable, No Rules, No Rescue on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Then also on the 19th, Gargoyles Remastered on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Last game on the 19th is Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Then on the 20th, we got Marvel Spider-Man 2 coming out on PS5. That is an exclusive that having a pro model would be probably nice for. October 20th as well, we got Super Mario Bros. Wonder on Switch. The 20th is going to be a big day in October. October 24th, we got City Skylines 2 on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Then also on the 24th, we got Cry Machina on PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. Also on the 24th, we got Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 on Switch. And then on the 24th as well, The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Then Just Dance 2024 comes out on the 24th as well for PS5, Xbox Series, Switch. There's so many games this month. Then on the 26th, we got Ghost Runner 2 coming out on PS5. And then the 26th as well, Dave the Diver on Switch. October 27th, Alan Wake 2 finally comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Then October 31st, we got Headbangers Rhythm Royale on Switch. October 31st as well, Naruto X or Cross Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. And the last game of October is on the 31st, and that is Jusant on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Chevy, out of the many games coming out this month, and there's quite a few of them, what games are calling out to you? What games have you picked up already, and what games are you planning on picking up?
Depending on what I learn about Star Trek Infinite, that's possible, but right now I don't know anything about it, so it's not on my radar just yet. And then
Chevy taking the wheel.
And then that's the Return of Moria is the...
I think it's
dwarf one, right?
The dwarven mining one. It's kind of like a survival game or something.
So that is a maybe for me. And that's it.
Whew, lucky. Okay, so let's see. Curious about Assassin's Creed Mirage, but I don't know if I'm going to pick that up soon or if I'll wait for a sale. I'm also curious about Forza Motorsport. I've been hearing good things about it. Also very impressed with the reflection that your windshield has in that game. I was watching some gameplay, and you can see your hands when the sun hits right through the windshield. So the reflections are pretty impressive. That only has 400 or 500 cars, so a little limited compared to other games, but that's still quite a bit of cars. Star Trek Infinite, I'm curious about as well, but we will be watching a video on that in this Tastecast. So if you don't know anything about that, stay tuned. We'll be finding out about that together. Lords of the Fallen for sure. I'm picking up. I'm really excited to try that game out, especially with its no bullshit co-op. That sounds like a lot of fun, and I love me some Souls-like games, and really curious to see how they reboot the series. So yeah, I'll definitely be picking that up 100%. Let's see. There's some other things. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, I'm kind of curious about because the first one was honestly way better than I thought it was going to be.
Fair.
I think there's a good chance this might come to PlayStation Plus as well because that's how I played the first one. And so if I don't pick it up anytime soon, I'm sure I will play it at some point. Or if it's on sale, I'll pick it up. But I am curious about it because I thought the first one was actually pretty fun, surprisingly. Marvel Spider-Man 2, I'm 100% picking up. It's an exclusive. It's Spider-Man. It's going to be fun. It's Insomniac. They don't miss. So definitely want to play that. Curious about Super Mario Bros. Wonder. That's that multiplayer one. Well, they're all multiplayer, I guess. But it's like 4-player, 2D. I think it's that one. It looks cool.
I can't keep track of this.
But yeah, not in a huge rush to pick that up, but I am definitely curious to check that out. You're not interested in City Skyline 2?
I mean, at some point.
Okay.
I'm not really in a hurry for it.
As reluctant as I am to support Konami, I do want that Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 because I just don't have access to all those games right now on current platforms. So definitely curious about that. I will definitely be picking up Lord of the Rings Return to Moria if it is that game. I'm pretty sure it is. I haven't heard anything about it though, so I don't know if there's reviews for it or what, but it's coming out soon, and I'm definitely interested in playing that. Next one is Alan Wake 2, 100% buying that. It's one of my most hyped games of this year, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, so I can't wait to play it. And I think that's it. There's a lot of games. A lot of games come out this month, though. It's kind of crazy. Anything else? All right, let us know in the comments what games are you guys looking forward to picking up in October. What games are you curious about? What games have you already picked up? What games would you recommend? Is there any games that are not on this list that you want to mention coming out this month? Maybe like some indie games or something coming out on Steam that wouldn't make this list. And is there a game that we kind of looked past that you'd be like, hold on, you should definitely take another look at that game and see if it's a game you want to play? Let us know everything you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to just all those games, whatever, man. All right, so let's jump into what we've been playing and talk about the games we've been playing in like the last week or so. I'll let you go first.
Okay. Get some of these. Wow, they're all pretty easy. Played some Generation Zero, which obviously you can hop in with that too, but I don't have a lot to report on that. Just kind of continue playing. Though on PC, being able to aim with the mouse is great. It's way better.
Yeah, maybe this is your first taste cast and first time at this channel, but we recently reviewed Generation Zero for what we call Plus Club, where we review the games every month for PlayStation Plus. And we played Generation Zero. We played on console. We graded it, I think, pretty good, pretty fair. But there's some issues with the console experience. And now you have played the PC version and got to experience the game with usable aiming.
Yeah, I need a better scope so I can see what the hell I'm shooting at sometimes, but definitely a much better experience kind of sticking to like automatic weapons and stuff like that, though, where I don't need to rely on a cracked scope to look through. Been enjoying that. It's definitely a game like that I don't like need to play right now, though. It's definitely something I can just kind of play from time to time and get something out of it without feeling like it's sat too long, or I'm missing out on something per se. So
Yeah. It's interesting for me because I've already played through and beat the game. In fact, I was reminded 3 years ago, my Facebook reminded me that 3 years ago I put a story out about one of the streams I did back when I still streamed of playing Generation Zero, and that happened like 2 days ago, I think. And I was like, that's weird. I was playing Generation Zero 3 years ago around this time, and now I'm playing it again in a time where I have all these games I should be playing and putting time into, because we got to talk about our Game of the Year discussion at the end of this year. I'm running out of time to be beating games, but here I am playing Generation Zero, which I'm having a lot of fun with. But I do agree with you in terms of like, I don't need to be playing this right now.
Yeah.
It's like itching the right place for me in terms of like, I've been wanting to play a first person shooter. I love survival games. And survival light. You don't have to like worry about food or anything like that, but you have to like scavenge for materials, craft, stuff like that. And so yeah, it's like a really good kind of keep me busy game when I don't know what to play. But yeah, if I stop playing it right now, I've already finished the game, so it's not like I would be missing out on it, but I have been enjoying playing it again.
Yeah. And I'm sure, we'll play it, here and there. Excuse me. Whenever maybe one of us has an itch to like play something that's, a little more pseudo survival focused, or just like a shooter in general. I don't really have anything else to say on that one. It is definitely a better experience on PC though, if you are coming from knowing the PlayStation or console version. I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 again. I apparently just am ready to play an MMO again because I've been logging in pretty much daily, taking care of some stuff that I just hadn't done for whatever reason. And the patch came out, so I was getting caught up on the story, so that I didn't have to find out about it on Twitter or something like that. Pretty good, nice and set up now for the expansion. I think we have 2 more fan fests to go through before we get all the information on the expansion. So I'll be likely keeping up to date with you guys on that as that all rolls out. And yeah, not a whole lot more there other than I got my Samurai to 90 finally.
Nice.
And I got my Paladin to 87 now. So getting there. I think I've been real slow about leveling this expansion, but I have 8 jobs I still need to get to 90, but they're all above 80, so it shouldn't take too long. Yeah, and then the only other thing I can really think of that I've been playing of late, and I don't know why I turned it on, but I decided to play it as I started playing Rune Factory 5. I bought it a while ago because I was like really in a kick to play those type of games. I think it was about the time I was playing Harvestella, and I was like getting ready to beat it, and I was like, I need another one. I've mixed feelings about it, and I barely have gotten into it, so I don't want to be too harsh yet. But the controls are bad, and that took some getting used to. They're pretty. All the buttons are in really weird spots, and I could keybind it, I'm sure, but I'm usually the type to just play it at default and adjust to however they think I was supposed to be playing it. So, getting used to that right now. It has a lot of the same stuff you would expect from like a Harvest Moon, a Harvestella, Stardew Valley, etc. You have relationships with people to become more friendly with them, potentially start families, etc. You have a farm, or in this case, multiple farms. To work on, make money, etc. Keep cleaned up. This has a more robust like combat system than Harvestella in the regard of like you hit the button and you swing. Harvestella feels more like it's on cooldowns when you're swinging and stuff like that. It's just a little more what word do I want? I don't know, delayed and barely feels like action. I love Harvestella, but the one complaint I always had about the game is the combat felt kind of meh. This one isn't like amazing, but like when I swing, I swing. There's no weird like paws or anything like that. So this has also got like a Pokemon-esque thing going on where like you can capture monsters and then you get them to, they'll like kind of fight with you for a little bit. But if you like give them gifts or feed them and stuff like that, they will join you, and then you can have them stay in at one of your farms in these I don't know what they call them. They're basically like little farm houses for the animals. But so like I have sheep, cows, and chickens, but I found them in the wild, and they're actually like monsters you find. So it's kind of interesting. Like you're not buying livestock from like a vendor like you would in these kind of games. You're going out and capturing them, and then keeping them that way. They can also join you and level up in combat and stuff like that, which is kind of an interesting take. So I have this little orc that like hangs out with me when I go out and do missions that involve killing things. And yeah, I don't know. So far, I like it more than I don't, but it has some weird, I'm just going to say jank to it that you can tell it's not a AAA game for sure. I think it's made by Seed Games. I'm not 100% sure on that. To correct me if I'm wrong.
Xseed?
Maybe. Yeah, fun enough. Had good reviews, that's why I picked it up. So I'll see in the long term. Stardew Valley is probably the best one, though, in my opinion, right now. So
that's fair. I think a lot of people agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Harvest Hill a lot, mostly because it was so story heavy, and so like it just felt like a role playing game that happened to have farming, but it didn't scratch the same itch like the same way like if I play Stardew Valley, like I'm there to do the farming stuff and all the adventure stuff. I'm not really there for a story so much. So it has stories, don't get me wrong, but that's not why I play it. But, yeah, pretty good so far, but yeah, nothing amazing. So that's what I've been playing.
All right. Well, I think you missed one, but we'll talk about it when I get to it. But okay, so the games I can't talk about, I've already played Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is our community pick game of the month. You guys picked. That's the one that won.
I still have to pick it up.
So yeah, we'll wait till after your trip, obviously, to do that. But yeah, mostly I've already hopped into it because before this month, the reason I haven't really put a lot of time into the game, even though I have, I think, like 12 hours in the game, is because first off, I was running into lag issues randomly, which was something some people were just experiencing. That's gone now, so they fixed that. That's good. But then worse than that, which it was almost unplayable, the amount of lag I was experiencing originally. Worse than that was I wasn't getting progression. I was getting XP at the end of every match, but it would show me level. But then when it would go to the main menu, I'd be where I was at before. So I've been like perpetually level 14 in Texas Chainsaw Massacre since the game came out, pretty much, because I played the shit out of it like the first day, and then I stopped leveling. That was also a known issue that some people were experiencing and others weren't. Oddly enough, if I played the family, I would still level, but if I played the victims, I wouldn't level, and I wanted to play the victims at the time, so I was like, I'll come back when I can actually experience this game the way it's supposed to be. And so with that, because I knew this was our game of the month, I was like, I want to check and see if that's an issue still or not, and I leveled. So hopefully it's not an issue anymore. As of that one match I played, though, it wasn't. So we'll be discussing that game. Sure, we'll play that game. And yeah, we'll talk about the end of the month for game of the month, though. So yeah, the other game I played that I can't talk about is Weird West, a game that I've already played on PC, but it is one of the PlayStation Plus games. And so we'll be discussing that on Plus Club. I think that's going to be a really interesting conversation, though, because I forgot just really what that game was like. And I've already seen people on the PlayStation Plus subreddit talking about how they're surprised at how much of a sleeper game this is, and that nobody talked about when it came out. And I'm also surprised about that as well. So that'll be an interesting conversation to have at the end of the month. All right, games I have played that I can talk about. I've been playing some Counter-Strike 2 because I like to be punished and just wrecked, apparently. I'm pretty decent at first-person shooters. I'm not going to say like I'm amazing at them, but I think I'm better than the average person. So typically when I play first-person shooter, I do decently. Counter-Strike 2 is one of the only ones out there that like I just get destroyed until I play enough rounds, and then I start making top like 5 on the list. So because this game went from CSGO directly to Counter-Strike 2, a lot of the people who were playing CSGO all the time just kind of moved over to Counter-Strike 2, and I haven't been playing in years, so I've noticed as I've been playing that game, I'll talk about the actual game itself, but just the skill thing's really interesting to me because people have been practicing and playing that game for so long. It's like if one Call of Duty had been around for like 10 years. That anytime I come around a corner, people already know where my head's going to be at, whether I'm crouched or if I'm standing. And so I'll come around a corner and boom, I'm dead instantly. And so, yeah, getting refamiliarized with a lot of the maps that are classic, but also some of the newer maps has been something that I've been working on. And then from refamiliarizing myself with the systems of Counter-Strike, ducking to shoot, walking to get more stable recoil, remembering what guns I like the most. It's been a slow process, but I've been slowly getting better at it. And there's something still so satisfying about the simplicity and high skill needed to play Counter-Strike that it still offers something that I think a lot of first-person shooters have forgotten about just core gameplay, because it's a basic premise. Everyone knows what Counter-Strike is. Like, you start the match, it's Valorant if you play Valorant. But like, you start the match, you buy equipment, you go in and you try to defuse the bomb or rescue the hostages. And if you die, you lose your stuff and you spend your money again to buy more stuff. And it's just pure skill. But I've been having a lot of fun with that when I'm not frustrated about just getting my ass kicked. But that's fine because you got to learn lessons from your losses. But as for Counter-Strike 2 as a whole, it's a very clean and nice looking game. It still looks very much like Counter-Strike still, but it's just vibrant. The lighting's so much better. Everything's, again, super clean looking. It's really pleasant to look at while not being too distracting. The new smoke effects are like insane because and I covered it before, but like they fill rooms now. They have like a system that knows the geometry of the area, so like we'll wrap around certain things, and like when you shoot through it like leaves holes for a second, and like grenades will disperse it and then it'll refill up. It's really impressive. Even the water when you shoot it, I've never seen this in a game, and if I have, I just don't remember and didn't impact me enough. But like when you shoot water in this game, it does the typical thing where it splashes, the water moves out of the way of where you're shooting, but then you see bubbles rise from the bottom of the water up, and it's just like, you guys didn't have to do that, but you did. So it's really kind of interesting. What else? They added a couple other things. The way Molotovs are really interesting. Like, you throw them, they bounce off stuff, which is very different than a lot of games with Molotovs. The fire effects fill the room and don't last very long, so it feels really gamey in that sense. But yeah, I've been playing that, been enjoying it. It's also free to play, which I have my mixed feelings on because I had already bought CS:GO back in the day. But more people are playing, and because of that, and it's a lot of fun. I would like to see it. I think it's not on console. I'd like to see it come to console. I'm really surprised by that, and it needs cross play that's optional, because if it's a free to play game and it's this solid, I don't see why it couldn't be on console. And then obviously have the option. I know some people get weird about crossplay. I think it should always be there, though, just because maybe you're really good on console and you want to play with more people. I think you should have the option to play with people on PC and vice versa. So, yeah, Counter-Strike 2 is cool, but it's still very much Counter-Strike, and it's a headache for me to play. I always have to. It takes longer for me to get warmed up in Counter-Strike than most first-person shooters. Speaking of first-person shooters, which has basically been most stuff I've been playing lately, I've been playing Payday 3. I think I have about 20 hours into it. It's good. I don't love it though. It does feel like Payday 2.5. I don't mean that as an insult, but it does feel like a slight increase in a lot of ways. I think the biggest difference between Payday 2 and Payday 3 is the enemy AI, I think, is better. It doesn't feel as robotic and stupid, even though it's still a little bit like that. And the perk system is really interesting because now you research certain lines of perks So you pick the next one you want to unlock next, and then once you unlock that, you can activate that. And if you activate it, you start leveling up its line of skills, and they all have the ability to either give you grit, edge, or I can't remember the third one. And those all give you like defense stuff, assault stuff. I think one affects movement speed, but basically you're using all these different perks to activate grit, and then on one perk line it'll be like, when you have grit, this will happen, but you need something to get you grit, and so you're trying to mix and match your perks to get some synergy, and it's interesting. It's definitely different than the last game. Content is a bit minimal right now with the game. I think there's 8 missions, which is like, maybe it's 8. I know it's not 10. I think it's 8. There's 8 missions, and they're all pretty good. I like most of them. But they're already starting to feel repetitive for me. Not a lot of guns, but a decent amount. And not a lot of masks, surprisingly, but a decent amount. So the game is definitely a decent foundation, but definitely in like 1 year, I want to see where it's at because, and I know if it's anything like Payday 2, they will support this thing for like 10 years. So, in a year or two, there's going to be a lot of stuff in Payday 3. But as of right now, it's a good experience, a good foundation. Another big improvement, too, is the stealth. Stealth is much better in Payday 3, which is nice because you always try to play with people and they want to do it like, quiet in the beginning on the heists, but 99.9% of the time they fail. But it feels a little more viable in doing the stealth stuff this time around. It feels more fair. So, but yeah, overall, I've been enjoying Payday 3. I've been playing with friends. It's actually... I don't mind playing with randos in most games, but this game I really don't like to play with randos just because you need to coordinate, and a lot of times people just come in and they have their own idea of what they're going to do. They're like, oh, I'm going to go quiet, and they don't coordinate shit with you, so they just try and do it by themselves. And then they get upset if someone messes something up. Or the last time I played, I ran into him twice in 2 different matches. As soon as the game started, he put his mask on, just run and start shooting everybody. I was like, okay, guess we're going loud. The second time I saw him, I was like, all right, I'm out of here. I was like, I remember you. Because as soon as it started, I'm like, is that guy? He put his mask on, ran in. I'm like, yep. And I just like left. So that was the whole thing. Oh, another thing about that guy too is like at the end when you're trying to escape, we had all the bags, but he was just hanging out shooting stuff still. So I don't know if he was trying to like unlock certain things. But I was like, I'm not doing this. So that's another thing too about the game. I'm all over the place when it comes to this game. There's a lot of different little details. I didn't realize that you don't get XP from doing the missions. We were playing for a while, and we were all like the same level. Me, Chris, and Psycho. We're all the same level. Cody's like a couple levels behind us. And then all of a sudden, when me and Psycho leveled once, Chris got like 2 or 3 levels. He's like jumped ahead of us. And I was like, where'd you get that XP from? I forgot it's accolade based. So you should kill 50 dudes with this gun, affect this many people with smoke grenades, kill 100 people with grenades, and when you complete those you get chunks of XP. So he must have had certain equipment that he was getting those accolades in that one moment faster than us, because at first I'm like, why would you get multiple levels past us? But then I looked into him like, oh yeah, I forgot that's how you level in this game. And I don't know if I like that. I would, because it does. When you start getting a lot of those knocked out, you have to start getting a little more precise about using things you don't really want to use to get more XP. Yeah. And when you do a match and you barely get anything for it, it almost feels like a waste of time outside of obviously the fun of the game. But I don't know if it's a good design. And when I looked it up, a lot of people are like asking, like, is this a bug? And people are like, nope, just a stupid design. So it seems like a lot of people are not a fan of it either. So, and I understand that. But yeah, anyway, overall, Payday 3 is fun. Specifically with friends, and it has room to grow, and I think it will. It's a good foundation, but I'm not in love with it, but I want to be. But it's pretty fun. Generation Zero, been playing that with you and Chris. I've been having a blast. I love that game, especially on PC. I love the atmosphere. I love the combat. I love that it's not a zombie game. We already went over a lot of this with our review on Plus Club, but on PC I'm a little less held back by some of the limitations of the console experience, and so I get to fully enjoy the game. I think I have like 70 or 80 hours in the game, so I've finished the game. I have a lot of the high-end equipment. I just unlocked my companion, which is something they added since the last time I played the game, so that's a new feature for me. And in case you don't know, you can have a companion that you can change paint schemes, you can change the way they make noise, like the voices they use.
Modulator, yeah.
Yeah, you can put machine gun shotgun or a rocket launcher on it. You can put different types of armor plating on it to make it more and more powerful.
Different archetypes
Like a healer, scavenger, scanner type dude who spots things for you. But we found out that there's a bug in the game currently that if you have that out in multiplayer, it'll boot you, because we were playing and every time I fired a shot, I would just get kicked. And you looked it up and people were saying that was an issue. I'm like, that makes sense, that as soon as I initiated combat, whatever my spotting archetype companion was doing that was kicking me was happening when I shot. So it's something in when it's spotting things. So yeah, if you plan on playing this game multiplayer anytime soon and you have a companion, make sure you don't have it set up as a spotter, because it will exacerbate things. Also, they've added motorcycles since the last time I played the game as well, and this is really interesting because they use fuel that you find all over the place. We were playing on console, I was finding fuel all over the place. I'm like, what is this for? And then I started playing on PC, and I'm like, oh, there's motorcycles. Oh, you have to fill the fuel up. That's kind of cool. Oh, they take damage. You got to repair them. Same thing with companions. So just the extra layer of depth added to the game. And there's a roadmap for this game that they're still working on, which I think is fucking insane, because it's like me, now you and Chris, and like maybe 5 other people play this game. But they're going to be adding new vehicles soon. There's a couple of things too, but they got a bunch of shit that they're planning on adding to this game still. So I'm pretty happy about that. And if they keep adding stuff to it, I'm going to try and maybe promote it over on TikTok to try and get some people knowing that this is even happening, because it does feel like a game that was slept on. When the game first came out, it was very bare bones, and it was more of a sandbox than a structured game. And even though it still is a sandbox, it's a lot more structured than it used to be. And so I think a lot of people overlooked it when it first came out because it was essentially unfinished.
I mean, it still is like the points that we have that we can't use for.
Yeah, I have like 200 something of these accolade points.
Yeah.
For what they're called, but you get them as you complete accolades, and I have a shitload of them. And Chris brought it up. I think he's like, "What are these points for?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I looked at mine, and it had like 200. I was like, "Fuck, dude, what are these for? Like, I should be spending these." We looked it up, and as of right now, it's just bragging rights. But later, they're planning on turning it into something as a currency, and I guess I'll be set up when that happens. But yeah, so there are still some features of the game that are unrealized. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't say it's unfinished, because even if that doesn't go anywhere, it was just a miscalculated feature that they had in the game. So yeah, it needs to be realized into something. But they're still supporting the game, which is really crazy, and I'm really stoked to see that they're going to be adding more stuff, because the companion and the motorcycle is already a pretty cool change of pace, especially because the game already offers bicycles, which are a faster way to get around. But the thing with bicycles is like robots will see you and shoot you pretty quickly on a bicycle, because it's not very fast, but it's faster than running, although barely faster than my run speed. But the motorcycle is significantly faster than the bicycle, and every enemy I drive by, I only get into the yellow, and then they stop tracking me. So it is a much better way to freely roam around at a fast pace. So it's definitely worth using, just not really in multiplayer unless everybody had a motorcycle, because I don't want to just take off from people. So,
and I'm a slowpoke, so
yeah,
I'll probably be walking everywhere.
But yeah, as of what I've been doing outside of playing with you guys, I have been roaming around killing all the world bosses one at a time. They respawn, so you have endless opportunities to fight them, but they go up in difficulty. And I've unlocked 2 experimental weapons now, which are like the level, I think they're the highest tier weapons in the game. There's like 6 tiers. It's 6 stars on the experimental weapons, and I forget what color they are. I think they're like purple or something. But no, they're like they're kind of like a fucking pinkish color, I think. But yeah, I got 2 weapons from that now, and they're pretty powerful, so they definitely feel worth it. So one of the fights I did was fairly significant. It took over like 1,000 bullets to kill the thing. So and I was starting to run out of resources during the fight, and I was like, do I need to leave? I don't know if I just want to die or not. Like, but I ended up killing it, and then I got a SMG from him that has something called overdrive, which just starts speeding up your fire rate as you shoot on an SMG. So I murder shit now, and so it felt worth it. Yeah, overall, good game. I'm enjoying it. It's fun to play with you guys. I'm glad you guys have been checking it out. And I would recommend you guys check out Generation Zero, especially if you find it on sale or something. It's been out for years now. I think it's worth your time now, for sure. I think I can confidently say that. It's got some issues, but what game nowadays doesn't? It's a fully functioning game, and it does feel closer to being complete than some AAA games. So I'll keep it at that. It's like a week and a half ago, but we had a fun buddy night where we had Cody, Chris, Josh over. We were drinking the whole time and playing fighting games, essentially. And so I'm not going to go into every single fighting game we played, but we played a lot of them. And I just forgot how much I love sitting around playing fighting games with friends, so much so that I think I am lacking dopamine to play fighting games alone nowadays, because I was trying to play like a day or two after that, and I was like, it's not the same. It's not the same fighting computer. But yeah, we played DOA 6. Is that the most recent one?
Yeah.
Whatever the newest DOA is. We played Tekken 7. We played Guilty Gear, whatever
Strive.
the newest one is, Strive. We didn't get around to playing Street Fighter, but we've played that in the past. Did we play Soul Calibur? No.
Not this time.
Yeah, we had a bunch of fighting games installed, but we were playing through them, and I just kind of remembered why I love like DOA 6. I love Soul Calibur. I love Tekken, even though I wouldn't even say I'm necessarily that great at Tekken. I don't think I'm bad at it either, but I don't think I'm like. It's not like my Soul Calibur where somebody's like, "Oh, what fighting game are you good at?" I'm like, Soul Calibur. I'll definitely give you a challenge in that. But in Tekken, I think I can hold my own. We played some Guilty Gear. I'm so out of the loop on that game, and I love Guilty Gear, but
I mean, you guys are doing fine.
yeah, it wasn't like when we played Street Fighter. I was just getting my ass kicked nonstop. That's not my series, and I had no practice in it. But yeah, starting to feel a little more comfortable with Guilty Gear after a little bit. That one was just like so long having not played it. I had to kind of reacquaint myself with it.
It's a good one, anyways, though, because they've kind of rebooted at this point, so like it feels completely different than the other ones. It's a lot slower pace.
Yeah, but there's a weird familiarity with it too, because I used to play it a lot back in the day. So like some of the characters I remembered some of the stuff from. Other ones it was like a little foggy, and then there's some brand new characters which I think a lot of their designs are really fucking cool.
Well, even within the characters like they kept or have brought back or whatever, their kits are definitely familiar, but they're also like changed as well. Like a good example is with Kikisuke. He used to have your backwards fireball and kick. You would like do this arcing sword attack, and now you do this like flipping kick instead in Strive, which isn't as satisfying for me, but it still functions pretty much the same. It just has some subtle differences in comparison, but
yeah, it's like even though it's much better than the last Soul Calibur, the most recent Soul Calibur is pretty good, but they've changed a lot of the characters' moves significantly, and so I just had to refamiliarize myself with those characters while learning new things that they do and some of the moves they'd gotten rid of. So that's just kind of a natural thing fighting games do anyway. But yeah, that was fun. And then we also played Party Animals, which I think you ended up picking up. We haven't played it since, but we played it.
I played it the other night.
A little bit. That's the game I was saying you played that I think you missed.
That wasn't really worth mentioning. But yeah.
Sure. That's a fun game. If you don't know, it's basically a bunch of cute animals brawling. Definitely would recommend you check it out. If
Also
you're,
has bot support if you don't want to play against people.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, a lot of game modes, a lot of variety. A lot of fun to be had. A lot of friends getting upset with friends while playing it. Apparently, me and Chevy, once we got things on lock, we're just doing pretty good. So, yeah, sorry, Josh and Chris.
At one point, Chris was like, "We need to split you guys up."
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because we were playing for a while. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're kind of going back and forth. We're kind of going back and forth here. And then Chris is like, we got to split you guys up. And I like looked at him. I was like, haha. And he's just like, you guys have won like eight matches in a row now. And I'm like, have we? He's like, yeah. I'm like, earlier you guys won a couple. He's like, yeah, it's been like 5 matches since we won. And I was just like, oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. So, but the whole time I was just like, every time I saw Josh when we were playing, I was like, I gotta fucking kill that guy. Because I was like, Chris is a wild card. I can't tell if he's going to come attack me or if he's going to try and defend himself from me. And we spawn next to each other, and I'm like aggressive. I just instantly attack him because I'm like, you're not a bot. I got to get rid of you.
You're human.
And he's always like, why are you spawning next to me? Leave me alone. And I'm like, no, I got to get rid of you. But Josh is very much like I am in terms of being competitive. And he would like always run for like a weapon that would like really do a lot of damage. I knew he was going to do that, so I'm like, I got to go take him out now before he finds something. And so a lot of times I would just target him, and I felt kind of bad doing that, but I'm like, I have to get rid of you because you're gonna get me once you get that. So yeah, me and him had a lot of really interesting fights where they would throw me off into the water. They thought I was dead, and I'd like come out, and they'd be like, "You're still alive?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I start attacking him, and vice versa. But
yeah, if I'd actually give anyone a suggestion, if you're getting into the game, to climb, you grab and hold the jump button, and don't tap it, just hold it, and you'll start climbing.
Which it covers that in the tutorial, but yeah, it's worth knowing.
I mean, if you're good about reading tutorials, I'm terrible. They'll say something, I'm like, okay, I get it, and then I'm like, wait, what did they just say?
Yeah, basically punch, headbutt, and then grab. One of the buttons is throw, and then to climb.
Which is better if you hold it as well, because you'll start lifting above your head first, and then you'll throw.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you kind of do this weird little.
A lot of times I'd use momentum. I'd run forward and just chuck them. But yeah, it's a really fun game. Really chaotic though, and has unlocks, which is cool. It's all cosmetic, but
also super looking forward to them like hopefully adding some more game modes and maps, because there's a lot of variety in the game right now already. So
yeah, I was actually surprised when I first played it. I was like, there's all sorts of shit you can do in this. And it's like, at first, like they're just doing what Gang Beasts didn't have the fucking balls to do and just support their game. Because I really liked Gang Beasts when that came out. But starting off, this game has way more than Gang Beasts started with. And I was like, oh, okay, they're like serious about this. They're trying to make like a game people are going to want to play. There's plenty of content, plenty of characters, plenty of skins to unlock for your characters already, and I'm sure they'll add more. There's gotcha stuff going on. So yeah, it's definitely a cool game. Anything else you want to say on that?
No.
All right, and then the last game I've played recently was Robocop Rogue City Demo, which was a game I was kind of mixed on because all the stuff I've watched on it looks visually accurate to Robocop. And yeah, watching the gameplay though, I was like, and every time I bring this up, especially over on TikTok, I'm like, I don't know if the walking's going to work. And people are like, well, he walks. I'm like, I know, but like for gameplay wise, I don't know if the average person is going to want to walk through stages because most games don't do that. And to even support that even further, when you force people to walk in games, they will always complain about it. I've known too many different people playing games where they're going through a tutorial. There's a part where you got to walk with a character, and they're like fucking getting antsy because they have to walk. And so the idea of like a game where you have to walk is like, is that going to work out? Well, I played the game, and the walking's fine. Honestly, a lot of the levels are set up in tight quarters, so the walking's not that big of a deal. And there's also like a speed walk, like a Jason Voorhees, like walking faster that I think feels good enough. So my concerns with that, I think, were valid, but I think the game design, I'm not worried about it anymore. As for the gameplay itself, it's pretty fun. There's ragdoll. You can grab people. You can throw them when they hit the wall, like chip the wall out. They'll fall on the ground. And or you can throw them through glass. You have that, I don't know what it's called because it's been a while since I've watched Robocop, and I guess I didn't pay attention to the demo, but you got his gun, his pistol that shoots 3 rounds at a time. Feels really powerful, very satisfying to shoot. And one thing I forgot to mention, but in Payday 3, I think a lot of the guns sound really weak. They just sound like BB guns. It's one of my biggest complaints is they just have no punch to them. And then right after that, I played this demo of Robocop, and I was like, okay, there we go, because all the guns sound beefy and really powerful and shit. So really appreciate that, especially in a game that has like ragdoll and people are going flying and there's blood flying everywhere. It's like, okay, cool. This feels satisfying to shoot. It's very story heavy, which is really interesting. Like full-on cutscenes that feel just like the movies, so feels super authentic in that sense. So if you're like a Robocop fan, like you like the world and the lore, I think you're gonna want to play this game just based off of the attention to detail and the story that they tell in this. There's a lot of creative parts where you're like having like flashbacks from your childhood and your mom or whatever while you're like walking around like kind of malfunctioning, and I was like, I wasn't expecting stuff like this. So yeah, combat's cool. There's perks in the game. You can level up. I started leveling up in a tree that allows you to put things in slow-mo, because in a game where you're shooting people, they're flying, and there's ragdoll, I want to play with that even more. So I wanted to start messing with the slow-mo, and it's super satisfying. And also, to my surprise, you get to walk around the city freeform. I wasn't expecting that either. I thought it was going to be a level-based game. But what you do is when you walk around the city, you walk to your car to do the main missions, and then there's side quests in the city you can do. You talk to people. There's a mission where I had to go to the arcade and do an investigation. It wasn't even like shooting at all. I had to like scan things and find stuff during this case, and then it led to shooting eventually. But there's a lot more to this game than I was expecting. I was pretty satisfied with it, honestly. So I think I might pick it up when it comes out. The demo's out on Steam. I've had people asking where you can play it. I think it's only on Steam right now. But if you're even curious about it, I would recommend you check out the demo. It's actually pretty fun. Looks way better than the trailers, too. I was surprised graphically.
That's usually the case, but yeah.
Yeah, it always is. But especially with the games that aren't like AAA, sometimes I'll play them like, this game looks way better than I thought it was supposed to. So, however they're rendering and uploading at can sometimes make the game look much worse. So the game is very clean looking and definitely fun. Not the best thing ever, but it kind of reminded me of more old school ragdoll based shooters. That games are nowadays more interested in the set pieces and less about the gameplay. This kind of harkens back to a more simple time in shooters that I kind of liked. So definitely probably gonna pick it up. So yeah, been enjoying that, been enjoying all the games, and I don't think I have anything else. Do you?
I mean, I didn't think I had party animals, so
Yeah.
who knows?
I saw you playing that the other day, and I was like, "Oh, you forgot that," but that's cool. We talked about it. Anything else?
No.
Nothing? All right, let us know in the comments, what games have you been playing lately? What have you been enjoying? What have you been hating? Maybe you played a game you really disliked that you want to tell us about. And what games would you recommend us check out soon? Or any games that you're looking forward to playing? Let us know what you think about in the comments below when it comes to games you've been playing, want to play. All right, so we got 2 videos to watch, and this is real slim pickings, but I think it'll be interesting. The first one we're going to watch is for Star Trek Infinite, which was not on my radar at all in the last ever. The first time I heard of it was like within the last 24 hours, and I was like so desperate to find something to watch for Tasty Cast that I looked at this a little bit, and I was like, this actually looks kind of interesting. So Chevy, I wouldn't say you're like a big Star Trek fan, because
I enjoy Star Trek.
Yeah, I wouldn't like go out of my way to call you like a Trekkie or something.
Definitely
but
not a Trekkie.
I think you like Star Trek.
Yeah,
and I like Star Trek enough. I liked Last Generation or Next Generation, not Last Generation.
The last. Wow, for some
the last Jedi. I liked that enough to forget the name of it. So yeah, I'm always hoping that someone can make a good Star Trek game, but it seems like nobody really knows what they're trying to do, whether they're trying to make a first-person shooter, they're trying to make VR experiences. It always seems like devs aren't quite sure what to do with the property, and I feel like there's probably a lot you could do with it. People have made MMOs, stuff like that. I remember the MMO being okay. I don't remember. But apparently this is a strategy game, which once I found that out, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say Star Trek's already kind of a slower pace.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, I was actually going to say, if you want a Star Trek game, just play No Man's Sky. But
yeah, that's fair. I just think the options of fighting people or diplomacy should be a really important part of Star Trek, because there is a lot of intermingling between different factions and groups and stuff like that, and whether they have to fight or you talk their way through things and establish friendships and connections with people, or having enemies. I think a strategy game would probably suit that better. So without speculating or talking too much on what that could be, let's watch this video and then we'll talk about what we saw. Okay. Ready?
Yep.
All right, this is Star Trek Infinite official your first day trailer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Peggy 12.
Jesus, fucking yell about it.
Welcome to your orientation as a ruler. A great many decisions will rest upon your shoulders, so we have prepared this brief training to arm you with knowledge. After all, insufficient facts always invite danger. What kind of a leader you will be depends largely on the traditions that you set in place. Some traditions might be expected of you as a continuation of how things have always been, while others are anathema to the founding principles of the faction. Sometimes it is necessary to set a particular tradition in place for completion of a later mission or goal you set. This is an important choice to make and will prevent you from taking its antithesis. When you take the chair as the ruler of your people, there will be a number of already established norms. These will dictate how effectively you can rule with certain styles of government. The Federation will be blocked from starting wars with other factions and can only expand through peaceful means, unless the conquest tradition path is set in motion. The Klingons will need to build and use their fleet to stay on top of their game. Without a fight, there is no honor, and without honor, you cannot call yourself Klingon.
So many ships.
The Cardassians balance how to treat the subservient races on the edge of a knife. They are costly to keep happy and more costly to suppress, but incredibly profitable when under pressure. The Romulans cannot build a large fleet, so they need to build large ships. Artificial black holes are a great way to avoid using matter and antimatter reactors, but it comes at a great cost. Depending on the faction you lead, you will see things from a different perspective. The situation may be the same, but how that information reaches you and how it affects your people will vary. This, of course, is part of the diversity of the Alpha and Beta quadrants.
I'm curious to see if there's going to be multiple layers in space or if it's going to be a flat plane. I kind of hope it will just be a flat plane for simplicity's sake, like a board. But I've played games like this in the past where you can go like up and down in space and strategy, and it's fine, but there's a little more of a learning curve in that degree because you're having to like think in like different degrees basically. But yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah,
but
I'm definitely hoping for more of like a Civ experience. For
yeah,
sure.
which is it's looking like it so far. So.
However, you are not the only nations that have a stake in how the political playing field evolves. Minor powers across the quadrants, vying to remain stable, are in a precarious and vulnerable position and may require help. Will you offer it to them and indirectly affect the war effort, or join the fight?
What are those states?
While war is an expected and inevitable part of the balance of power within the galaxy, you must take caution with how you approach it. Long drawn-out campaigns will wear your people down, creating enemies in unexpected camps, and underlining all of it will be the overall tension across the quadrants. War affects everyone.
It's interesting how there is
among the many tools in the arsenal of galactic
territories,
power, your fleet is the most obvious one. A strong fleet does not simply mean the most ships. It means having the crews available to ensure optimality. Officers with the training to secure victory. That is where each fleet's power lies, but it is also where the challenge of drawn-out conflict takes its toll. Training new officers requires the construction of specialized military bases to be able to support the war effort. A ship without its crew will be far less effective. The capability of your fleet also depends on its ability to warp, as well as your understanding of warp distances. Some of the most important things to remember are that each ship class under your command has a range, and that not all of them are the same. Additionally, as a leader, you understand that it could be a diplomatic
ships in
disaster
water and
to
stuff.
warp into another faction's
they were
borders
also just kinda
without
saying,
the
like,
proper treaties.
If you have one that doesn't go as far, you probably don't want to warp beyond and like split your forces apart, because some of them can't go as far as others. So
Yeah.
like keep that in mind when you're traveling, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
And agreements. Unless, of course, you have spies. Warp highways can make the process of traversing the quadrants faster, but these may not always be convenient
There's so
to
many
your
Civ
destination.
systems, which I'm not
Still,
complaining.
it is worth your time to explore where they lead,
works,
as
so.
they provide shortcuts across the quadrant. You may have been a famed admiral or daring captain prior to your appointment to leader, but now you sit above it all. It is your job, nay, your responsibility, to act with the bigger picture in mind. Leave the micro-level decisions of target priority or when to cycle shields to your captains and admirals. Learn to trust those who serve you to make the best combat decisions in the heat of the moment. It is no longer your purview. You must focus on more important matters. Use this knowledge to guide your decisions as you lead your people. The rest is up to you. Create your own Star Trek story.
All right. Well, what do we think?
I mean, it does look like something that's up my alley. The trailer was a little boring though.
Yeah, 100%. Which they're not doing any favors to Star Trek, because I know people who are not into Star Trek typically talk about how Star Trek is boring. So that trailer probably wouldn't have changed their minds.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of Star Trek is like storytelling in and just events happening to people. You know, it's a lot of drama and exploration and stuff like that. Combat is not really like the main focus.
Yeah.
That being said, I like not like full blown strategy games, but I like strategy games like in vein of like a Civ, for example. That keeps getting brought up here, but like not necessarily like I'm not a big Total War guy, for example.
Yeah.
That's a little too much for me.
Even though I'm hearing good stuff about Total War Pharaoh. Is that the new one?
Yeah, yeah. And they've been making those games for so long. Like the people are obviously fans of them, or they wouldn't keep making them. So, but I definitely typically like something a little more slow pace, if not even turn based, where I get to like stop, make decisions, plan, stuff like that.
That is the beauty of Civ style games, is the ability to take the turns, strategize, think about what your next priority is, and especially the dynamic aspects of like if you're going to war, all of a sudden all of a sudden your plans have to change now, and your priorities have to change.
Where your resources are you spending gold? Do you need more people? Do you need food? Stuff like that. Like I like that kind of stuff, but I don't like being rushed into it because I'm not trying to stress out while playing the game. I'm just trying to like think. I want to think a little, but also just like play a game that's going to last me all day, if not days.
Which reminds me, we need to play that one game again.
Age of Wonders 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is right up my alley. It looks like something I'd be interested in playing. Realistically, the things they really got to kind of knock out for me to like stick with it though is I saw a ton of menus, and that could be a turn off. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. As long as all the systems kind of like work good together and like feel good to like, try out different ways to play and stuff like that. It'd definitely be something I'd play a little more long term, but we'll see when it comes out and what people have to say about it. So.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me with this is because it does look interesting. I do like games like this. I think the big thing is how dynamic every round can be. how like, you know, because we didn't really get any details on like what diplomacy would look like, trade. It more so was just kind of showing about like the different factions, taking over places, combat, getting around, which is all stuff that you want to hear about. But I am curious about like Age of Wonders does a really good job on like every single match I've played. A lot of dynamic, interesting, random things happen that make every match feel like its own thing. And I'm sure this will be able to offer that, but I don't know to what degree because they didn't really go into it very deep. But at base level, what they're showing here is definitely a game up my alley, and it definitely does take a lot of notes from Civ, but I think that's a good thing because the Civ formula is a really good formula that you can build upon. Age of Wonders
4X, we can just say that
4X, yeah, for sure, but it always comes back to Civ, and so like, you know, even playing a game like Age of Wonders, which I think is really good too, definitely builds upon that system, and so I'm very okay with people taking that as long as it's not just a complete rip-off. But yeah, doing it with a sci-fi game with Star Trek, I think is smart because Star Trek needs something established with its brand. It's a big brand, and they just can't really land it anywhere in terms of executing a game that people just love. I know there's, you know, niche ones out there that people like, but
there's also old ones that were really good.
Yeah.
Like there was one that was basically like Quake back in the day.
Yeah, it was like a shooter.
Yeah, and it was like really fun.
Yeah.
So.
And so yeah, this could be that, at least within the strategy community, which is a very dedicated community. If it does fall flat, though, people will absolutely forget about this game and go right back to the good ones. So hopefully they have something they're bringing with this outside of the brand, even though I think the brand is strong enough to pull people in. I do think it's cool that you can play as the different groups and have, you know, the different ships and the different things about them that, you know, make them unique and interesting. I think this mission tree is actually looks pretty significant. It looks like there's a lot of different paths you can take, which could add to that dynamic aspect I was kind of talking about before.
Yeah, it's kind of like you know, changing out the way you govern your nation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I like the and I kind of brought it up earlier, but the tactical map basically where it shows like the borders of each nation and
territories,
stuff like that. I think that's neat because it looks like something that's also designed really well to change constantly. And it gives, I think, really good visual feedback on what's going on there.
Especially the game that doesn't have land and territories to take over, because you're like, oh, I need to take over this until the ocean or whatever. It's like it's space. So, you know, where are you occupying, basically?
Within explored space, because, you know, a lot of these sci-fi settings in space are, here's where people live, here's the unknown.
Yeah.
And you don't go into the unknown.
And I think it has a good visual representation of that. So overall, it definitely is a game. And oddly enough, I just found out about this game, and the game's coming out soon. So I'll probably look into it, see what the price point is. I don't think I'd pay $60 for this, but I definitely am interested in checking it out. It looks kind of cool, even though I don't know if I need another game like this right now, because I still want to go back and play Age of Wonders. I'm not even close to being done with that game.
For sure.
But yeah, it looks cool though, and I thought it'd be cool to bring up on here because we don't really cover a whole lot of strategy stuff on the podcast, and I also thought it'd be a game that you would be interested in, which is typically not as common as I would like it to be, because a lot of the games that are coming out are like, you know, shooters or horror games or whatever, and a lot of times you're just like, yeah, I can appreciate it, but I'm not going to play that.
A little more slow pace, yeah.
Whereas I'll play anything. So yeah, anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments what you guys think about Star Trek Infinite. Does it look good to you? Does it not look good to you? Are you into these kind of games? What other games like this would you recommend us play? Is there anything about this game that you happen to know? Maybe you've been following it for a while that you'd like to let us know about, good or bad. And are you going to pick it up? Let us know everything you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Star Trek Infinite. Next video up is another preemptive video of something coming up, which is Lords of the Fallen, coming out, I think, this Friday, technically, even though everyone and their brother's fucking playing it already. I don't understand that. If there's an early access version or something, I haven't done my research, but I assume it's just influencers playing the game. But I keep seeing, I'll be scrolling on TikTok or, you know, somewhere else, and I see someone playing it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, this is basically a video that's going to give us information on the game itself, everything you need to know to get us informed and possibly pumped up for the game coming out very soon. This is a game I am definitely interested in playing. I kind of said that already when we're talking about game releases, but I thought the first game was okay. It felt like a Dark Souls light. Had some good stuff to it, but also was kind of vacant and hollow in its content and was overall fine. This is obviously a huge reboot of that, and I think they are going in the right direction. And the biggest thing that has me interested, they released a little graphic I think today to get people pumped up, and they're saying like there's like 11 or 12 classes or whatever, and I think it's like 197 weapons and items in the game, and they were saying all this, there's over, I think there's 30 bosses, which a typical Dark Souls game has like 25, so it's a little more than normal. And so it seems like there's a lot of content to the game. And then the biggest thing I'm excited about is it has co-op that's just continuous, which is very rare for this genre. So that has me really curious.
Yeah, rare as in like Neo 2 has it.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, there's typically some kind of gimmick to play multiplayer, and it's fun, but like it would be nice just to play through the game with your friend and just have a good time.
Remnant has it. Sorry.
Yeah, Remnant does, but even though it's heavily inspired, I also view that game as just kind of like a hub-based shooter too. So it's such an interesting hybrid. But yeah. So yeah, anything you want to say on this before we watch the video, or?
So yeah, I'm not necessarily, as I brought up earlier, it's not really like on my must-buy list right now, and I could be swayed. I am interested in the prospect of co-op, because I always like the idea of these styles of games. I just don't really enjoy playing them by myself all that much. However, I'm in a weird spot because we're at the, basically the home stretch of the year, and I have other games I have to beat before we do Game of the Year. So
yeah, it's really weird that I've finished Starfield, one of my not as hyped games of the year, before I beat some of my more hyped games of the year. So I'm in a really weird place, but I think I'm in the position on a couple games of almost being done with them. So I just need to sit down and finally do that and not play games like Generation Zero as much as I've been enjoying that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in a similar boat of not necessarily wanting to add more things to the stack.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that when I have my actual vacation time here, that I beat Baldur's Gate finally, because I need to beat that, and then I need to figure out what's next after that.
I got to get past Act 1 still on
Same.
that game, but from what I've played so far, it's phenomenal. But at this point, anytime someone talks to me about Baldur's Gate 3, I'm like, I'm not past Act 1. I've barely touched the game. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, don't tell me anything. So, and it's my fault at this point. The game's been out for a little bit, but I'm just like, oh, I'm so behind on that one. But I'm just playing everything. So,
Yep.
yeah, went on a little bit of a tangent there. Do you have anything else you want to say on this, or just more so you don't want to add more fuel to the fire?
Unless it's just something I have to play. So,
Yeah.
and which we'll see. So
Well, I'll play it too, and I'll let you know, because, I mean, if it's like okay, I'm not going to go out of my way to get you to play it. So, all right, this is Lords of the Fallen, Everything to Know via GameSpot. On 3, 2, 1, go.
Lords of the Fallen? Didn't that one come out already? Well, a game with that name certainly did come out in 2014, but this brand new one is different. It's a spiritual successor to the 2014 game, but also a full reboot with the same name. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Lords of the Fallen 2023.
Fill us in.
Alright, let's start with the game's plot. 1,000 years ago, there was an evil demon god named Ardir. Humanity banded together, and after much war and strife, they finally defeated him. Only, it's pretty tough to slay a god, and they don't typically stay dead forever. Despite
True.
man keeping guard over his remains for a millennium, he's now threatening to return. Already,
So,
his
Diablo.
influence is spreading and corrupting the world, and it's up to you, as a Dark Crusader, to restore radiance to the holy beacons of the Sentinels and prevent him from coming back. Lords of the Fallen takes place in the land of Mornstead, which, like its name suggests, is really going through it thanks to Ardia's meddling. If you played the 2014 Lords of the Fallen, the 2023 spiritual successor promises to be 5 times bigger, and the land of Mornstead is packed with different regions and biomes, from terrifying mines and burning cities to wintry forests packed with dangers. But don't worry about
Everything's
getting
gloomy
lost.
looking, but there's
Your
actually a
trusty
good
journal
variety
will
of
help keep you on the
locations.
right path.
I was going to
The game
comment
isn't
on
content
the
with being set in just one
theme
world. It's
being
actually
very
set
present
in 2
constantly.
parallel
Yeah.
worlds. Axiom, the world of the living, and Umbral, the world of the dead. Each has their own unique enemies to fight, characters to meet, and secrets to find.
Interesting.
If you find yourself stuck in one world, the answer to overcoming the challenge might just be in the other. If you played the Medium from a couple of years ago, that's kind of the gist. There are multiple ways to
but I wanted
traverse
to.
the 2 worlds, but the one you'll likely use the most, whether you want to or not, is by dying. If you die in Axiom, you'll awaken in Umbral, giving you a second life, but admittedly, one in an absolute hellscape. Oh, and the longer you spend there, the more terrifying monsters will come after you. Very chill. You can also sacrifice one of your lives by performing the Umbral Rift to go from Axiom to Umbral. Early on in the game, you're bequeathed with the Umbral Lamp, a powerful tool that connects the 2 worlds. The Umbral Lamp has multiple uses. It lets you peek between the 2 worlds to take a look and see what's happening on the other side. Beware though, doing this tells nearby enemies where you are, and they might not take too kindly to peeping Toms. When in
Fair.
Umbral, you can use the
kind of a
lamp
cool
to
system.
manipulate the environment. So if you find yourself looking at a treasure and longing for a way to get close to it, give the lamp a try. Which brings us neatly onto gameplay, because you can also use the lamp in combat to rend an enemy's soul from their body, allowing you to deliver
Just
a
yank that
powerful
fucker out.
high-damage attack. There are 9 character classes to choose from when you start the game, featuring pretty standard picks like a Hallowed Knight, who's all about sword and board, a Pyromancer class called the Pirate Cultist, and of course, everyone's favourite, a Sneaky Ranger class too. Despite picking a specific class at the start, you can upgrade and level up your character to match the playstyle you want
this
to
the best
roll with.
quality this has
Compared to
got?
the original game, 2023's Lords of the Fallen is a
surprised your
lot more
YouTube actually
flexible,
autos at 1080.
especially in combat. Now, the combat in the 2014 game got a lot of flack for being very, very, very slow. The developers seem to have taken that to heart and are promising 2023's Lords of the Fallen to be a lot quicker, but no less deep and tactical. Throughout the game, there are hundreds of weapons to try out, dozens of armor sets to try on, and a bunch of spells to wield. In fact, in combat, you can map 4 additional magic or ranged skills beyond your primary weapon, so you can tackle enemies with everything you've got. There are 3 different kinds of magic to try out: Radiant, Umbral, and Rogar, and you might need to give each a go, because the game
life,
also has huge,
death, and
multi-phase
something else?
boss battles to keep
Sounds
you on
like
your
it.
toes. If all this sounds relentless and you're
Elemental,
looking
sorry.
for some respite, well, there's good news and bad news there. In the world, there are permanent vestiges where you can level up and rest, so they kind of act like bonfires in Dark Souls. And hey, aren't you proud I made it this far without a Souls reference? If you're in the middle of a big run and there are no breaks in sight,
It
you
is
can
what it
also
is.
make one yourself at a vestige seedling. But doing so costs an awful lot of your resources, and you can only have one active at a time. Lords of the Fallen is being developed in Unreal Engine 5, using the engine's character tools to make
Jesus.
fully customizable player characters, have everything covered in beautiful high-resolution textures, and will take advantage of the new Lumen Global Illumination tools to make that lighting pop, which will come in handy when you're nipping between those 2 worlds. Lords of the Fallen is apparently going to take you around 30 hours to complete, but if you
That's not
want
bad.
more, there's a new Game Plus mode to get stuck into. If you want to tackle all the horrors that the realms of Axiom and Umbral throw at you alone, you're more than welcome to do so. But Lords of the Fallen does let you play with a pal or a stranger if you want to adventure together. You can summon a friend to join you in your journey at Vestiges, but beware, you can also be invaded by other players in doing so.
Uh-oh.
Or if you don't want to deal with real-life companions, you can also rely on in-game NPCs to lend a helping hand too. Now, like I said at the start of this video, a game called Lords of the Fallen came out in 2014, and it's been a long and rocky road to the sequel. Lords of the Fallen 2 was announced back in 2014, and it was revealed that the original co-developer Deck 13 wouldn't be back for that game. In 2018, it was announced that Defiant Studios would be taking over development and starting again from scratch, which it did, for a year before that was scrapped, and a new studio
they struggled,
named
huh?
Hexworks was founded to tackle the project. The Lords of the Fallen, was revealed in 2022. Yes, there was another "the" in the title originally, and in March 2023, it was rebranded as just Lords of the Fallen.
Makes sense. People are
Lords
going
of
to
the
call it that
Fallen
anyway.
will release on Friday, October 13th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via both Steam and the Epic Games Store. There are 3 versions of the game
Good,
to choose
on
from.
Steam.
The
That's what I
standard
like to hear.
edition comes with a copy of the game, and if you pre-order, you get 3 Precious Metals Armored Tinked packs, which can be used to customize your wearable items, and 3 starting boost packs full of XP, MP, and HP items to help you survive the horrors that will be thrown your way. The standard edition is $60 on PC and $70 on PlayStation and Xbox. You can get this edition both
Really?
digitally and physically. Next up is the Deluxe Edition, which goes for $80 on PlayStation and Xbox and $70 on PC. You get everything in the Standard Edition as well as a new starting class, the Dark Crusader, and their matching kit, which includes a longsword, Holy Light explosives, and Paladin's Pendant. The Deluxe Edition also includes a digital art book and soundtrack and a 3D model viewer. It's available both digitally and physically. And finally,
I don't know why
available
they're
in
charging
physical
more on
format
console.
only
It's
is
weird.
I
the
don't
big
know
old
either.
collector's edition. Coming in at $250, this GameStop exclusive is only
Like, I'm like,
available
it's
for the
cool that I
Xbox
gotta
and
pay less,
PlayStation
but it's
gamers.
fucked that-
Sorry, PC
like,
pals.
why?
It includes
Why
all
am
the
I paying
previous
less?
items
For
from the
digital
other
goods.
editions, but also comes
Yeah.
with a display case,
and
poster,
Steam,
art cards, and 19
if I'm not
centimeters
mistaken,
of the
charges
Dark
the
Crusader.
same
That is
premium
a
that
19 centimeter tall figure.
Xbox and
So
Sony
that's
do,
everything you need to
so-
know about Lords
Yeah,
of the
it's-
Fallen.
seems
Can't
really
wait
weird.
until
Wild.
the 13th. We've got a hands-on
Epic
preview
doesn't.
right here on the
Maybe
channel.
that's
You can
just
check
fine
out,
part of
and
it,
we'll
but-
have more videos coming
Yeah,
when the game launches,
maybe.
including
don't
our
know.
review. Subscribe so you don't miss out, and thanks for watching.
All right, we got all the info we need before the game comes out very soon. What are we thinking?
I mean, it still looks as cool as I thought it looked the last time we did a, I guess, reaction to it. Lost me.
How you taking the news?
The moment they said it's basically the Souls / Elden Ring formula for co-op, not in the ability to keep playing or whatever, but you are now opening it up to invasions. That's just such a huge turnoff for me, and I know some purists are going to be real weird about that one, but I don't care. I don't play these games. I don't play anything for PvP, and if the response to that is then don't play it, I probably won't. So
Yeah.
which is not good for the company making the game. So.
Yeah, for sure. I wish that there was a setting where you can have that on and get benefits. Like when you defeat people, you get something from that. That would make sense. But then if you don't feel that's worth it and you don't want to fight against people, or maybe just like today you don't feel like fighting against people, you could turn like on and off and like play without that, not get the rewards for that, but also not have to worry about people invading your game while you're trying to just, chill. This isn't Dark Souls, so I can't really throw out the Welsh tradition, so I guess that's why they do it, because this is their own game, and they made the decision to have no bullshit continuous co-op, so it's interesting that they opted in for the Be Invaded co-op, because that is basically a punishment for someone like you. And it's not a big thing for me. I don't mind the PvP, but I also wouldn't care if it's not there either. So it's not a selling point for me. So it doesn't get me excited. But I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like if people invade, we'll either kill them or we won't. So, but yeah, it can be definitely a hiccup. Other than that, though, everything else is looking cool to you.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty cool otherwise. But I thought that beforehand too.
Yeah.
I might just have to wait and see if someone mods it, like I did with Elden Ring. So,
yeah, yeah, I'll end up playing, and I'll let you know what I think of it. And if it's like not even that much of an issue, then I can obviously tell you. Or if I'm getting invaded a lot, I'll let you know. But the basic Souls like formula is definitely looking fun to me. But I think this whole like lamp having 2 different dimensions thing is kind of interesting, and not in like it feels less gimmicky than it could feel. Some games have tried stuff like this before, and it feels like a gimmick. Like, oh, look at this side, and that's about it. You're just kind of looking at stuff. But that you're running into different enemy types, finding different things in each dimension, different characters, and then figuring out puzzles based off that. Not only jumping in and out, like when you die and come back in the other place, you can also peek in there, which I think is neat. So it's like at the same time, two places are being rendered at once, which I think is really kind of a cool idea. I haven't really seen a game do it that way. It's typically just like, you just teleport to some place they tell you is the same place in a different dimension. So I kind of like that they're doing that at the same time. I also like, I didn't realize this from the trailers, when you're peeking in, enemies from that area can come out from there. That's kind of cool too, because it makes it feel like it is an existing other dimension. So I actually really like that. I think it sounds really cool. Combat's looking fun as well. I also think it looks varied. It looks like a lot of different weapon types, a lot of different magic types, which I'm happy about. I think it'll be fun in co-op for that because of the different builds you could make. Locations look varied as well. I already kind of mentioned that before, although they all are very, very drab, very just grim, and like very creepy looking. But I do like that we've seen some pretty different looking areas, so that'll be good for variety and not feeling like you're doing the same thing over and over again. These like mobile bonfires are also interesting when they say like you're using resources to use these and you only have one at a time. That also feels kind of different from Dark Souls. So like it obviously is more than inspired by Dark Souls, but it does have some ideas that's giving it a reason to exist that the first game I don't think really had. The first game felt like I said, Dark Souls Light. It felt like a mobile version of it, almost for like your phone or something. And it was a fine game, but it had no purpose. This game seems like it has a purpose, and that's huge, because I still argue that a lot of these games don't know why they exist. They just want to exist to make money. And then you get games like Neo that like just don't need to prove themselves because they're just so fucking good that they just stand on their own with their obvious influence. This game seems like it's probably going to lean into that area. I'm very happy about that because, it's coming from partially a dev that worked on a game that I didn't feel that way about. So it would be the ultimate redemption story for this dev. So very cool. Overall, though, I think I will be picking this up day one. I am definitely interested in playing it. 30 hours isn't that bad, especially for a game in co-op. I know a lot of people are saying they want to play it single player and then play it co-op with a friend. I'm straight going to try and play this game co-op like as soon as I can because that sounds like fun to me. So, yeah, looking cool. And the info was good in this video. I'll give GameSpot that. They were pretty good about detailing a lot of stuff, even price points at the end, which I wasn't even thinking about. I was just going to buy it, but it was some interesting information about everything. So very useful. Anything else? Listen in the comments. What do you guys think about Lords of the Fallen? Are you picking it up? Are you not picking it up? What are you most excited about when it comes to the game? Do you want to play the co-op? How do you feel about the co-op? And what's the most exciting feature about this? Do you think it's different enough from the original Lords of the Fallen or Dark Souls? And yeah, let me know what you think about in the comments below when it comes to Lords of the Fallen. All right, it's that time again where we reflect on past episodes, read your comments, and reply to them. If you want your comment to be read for sure, type in #STLG. It makes it easier for me to find your comments. Otherwise, I pick at random. So we reviewed Saints Row, Black Desert, and Generation Zero for Plus Club in September. This was at the very end of that, and it's been a couple days since then, 9 days ago. But we got a comment, and we're going to read it. So we were... I don't want to spoil it too much, but I think we were fair, but we had criticisms and good things to say about BDO. And if you want to know more about that, Black Desert Online, go watch that episode. But we got a comment from Awesome Jared saying, love BDO, but you're right, need time to play. I probably have close to 1,000 hours in PC BDO. Gorgeous game. Nova was my main, which is what you played. Yeah. Story's actually more interesting, though. But yeah, easy to skip. I said, yeah, I think PC would be the only way I would be able to give this game a better shot because the console experience wasn't ideal. There are plenty of things to like, but the annoyances seem exacerbated by console. Would like to try more classes at some point, too. He replied, to be honest, the game just becomes a gambling addict's worst nightmare at endgame. You can go PvP, which in my opinion is terrible, or you can grind endlessly to get a chance of super rare crafting materials and to make enough cash to try upgrading your armor weapon once, but you have a 0.04% chance of hitting that upgrade you want. Worth it to play for a bit, sail the ocean, which we didn't do, explore the land for a while though. World boss encounters are fun. Decorating and crafting is insanely cool compared to other MMOs. The crafting system is super fleshed out, and you can play the game just as a crafter if you want, which is something I've heard before because, like we said in the video, and you're pretty much saying here, it's a game you can live in. So I wanted to highlight these comments, both of them though, because I think it's kind of accents more of kind of what we said from people who haven't played the game as much as you. Still it's kind of a similar take. You're saying you've invested the time, which we said we felt like we needed to be able to invest time to really get more out of the game, and you are able to give us the pros and cons of it, which I think is completely valid and fair. It's interesting to read. You know, you're saying there's a lot of things in it that, like, yeah, you got to put the time in. Yeah, the end game has these systems that's like fucking rough, but the positives, which, like you said, you know, sailing, world bosses, crafting, being able to play the game as a crafter, there's pros and cons to it. But obviously, you found enough pros in it to put over 1,000 hours into the game. Yeah, it's really interesting to read that because I kind of felt like that playing it. I was like, this is a game that I would prefer to play on PC, but if I was going to play it, I feel like I need to put the time in to actually be able to absorb it because the time we put into it on console was not enough. And also not the way I really want to play the game.
No, and honestly, like giving impressions on an MMO in a 1 month time span, especially in a environment where we have to play multiple other games, is rough. So it is definitely an impression more than a review in that regard, I'd say.
So I'm always clear, like we're not giving like a full on. It is our review of the month, but it's not a complete review.
And it's a game I've always had some interest in, but I play an MMO, and so it makes it hard to commit to another one, especially now as if a 40-year-old, working dude. It makes it hard to find time for multiple. So,
yeah. Overall, though, and I agree with like the time thing. For me, it's like not even an MMO thing. It's like whatever game grabs me, I'm going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
The games that don't, I'll play them because I'm fucking curious. I want to play everything, but I am constantly sifting through games until something goes, you want to play me? And I'm like, okay, like Generation Zero, I got hooked into again. I was like, and then I've been playing a lot of Payday 3 lately because it's doing something for me. So
Apparently
I'm just going to embrace that.
Something.
I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think I just want to play a first-person shooter because, like I said, every game on there, outside the fighting games, are all shooters. So sometimes it's like that, but yeah, so when it comes to an MMO, it's got to hook me and I got to be in the right mindset, but then also with the limitation of, playing on console and knowing I'm not going to stay on the console version, I play enough just to get enough of an impression that I can be honest about what I did and what I thought of that. So, but yeah, thank you for giving us your impressions of your over 1,000 hours in the game, which is definitely insightful because it's the opposite of where we're coming from. So, yeah, very cool to read, and some of that makes me interested in playing. Except for the end game, you don't really sell too well in the PvP, but the experience is worth it. Apparently. Thank you for the comment. And moving on, we reviewed Final Fantasy XIV again, talking about basically what we experienced with it playing in 2023. I titled it that way because we've reviewed it before, so I'm like, what changed? Well, we're playing it now. So, yeah, we got some comments, and we're going to read them. First one is from Tasty Fruit, that guy who hasn't been on in a long time, saying, rigged, I demand a recount. I think Chris wanted to win the community pick game of the month, and he didn't. And now he is claiming fraud. So he's just going to have to either deal with it or bring a lawyer. And then, yeah, Chevy, TLG Chevmo, says that WHM White Mage seems familiar. There was a White Mage in the footage. Also, whatever Chris plays.
Everything.
I think also, who else is playing with us in that footage? I think Jeremy and Psycho are in that, possibly, in that footage.
I can't remember the footage at this point, but the only 4 people could be in a party, so.
Oh yeah. Well, I have 2 different videos I put in there, but maybe no. We're playing with a rando in that.
That's who we all played with.
Yeah, but we played with a rando in some of that footage. But anyway, you guys are in it. Yeah. You guys were always down to run with me and do everything. So yeah, those are you guys. Okay, and then the last comment we got is from a man named Stick, previously known as, or might still be known as Stick, but this might be your @ thing, saying, "This was a really fun game of the month pick as it was the last 14-1 you all did in 2018 that brought me to your channel. I even looked back at that one to see if I made a comment, and sure enough, I did. It brings back so many memories for me as I was searching for everything 14 related. Like Chevy, I am biased. This game is going to always be my main game. I won't stop playing it anytime soon, and I'm so excited for Dawn Trail. Since my comment, I got to enjoy both Shadowbringers and Endwalker on day 1, and those experiences were amazing. I have had so many great moments with the community and still have yet to run out of things to do. Here pretty soon I will move my main to the Oceanic Data Center since I work thirds. It will be easier to do stuff since their prime time is when I am awake.
Yeah,
also, I love Chevys. They fucking better not be when talking about people not upgrading to their job with A
Realm Reborn.
Realm Reborn classes. I have heard horror stories of level 90 gladiators since some people want to be a gladiator, not a paladin, which would be I almost respect, and I respect the dedication of doing that. But yeah, that is kind of ridiculous that you would
I think I even replied to that one, but yeah,
put your damn job stone on, making everyone's lives harder. Yeah, I'm excited to see where we go now. New story, new world. Should be fun. Plus, this expansion wasn't developed during a worldwide event, so they shouldn't have any hiccups in their schedule planning this time, and hopefully it's very feature-rich expansion. Thoughts?
I'm 2018. Good lord.
Yeah, that's right. It's fucking wild.
No, I'm glad you're still enjoying the game. I do think anyone who sticks around though, especially to get through like Endwalker and stuff like that, unless they just like jumped on the hype train, when it got popular recently, they're invested at this point. I say. I mean, I literally just had one of those. Remember this moment from 10 years ago. Things happen on social media, and it was my character from 10 years ago. Same character I played now, though I wasn't Makote then. And I was like, holy crap, I've been playing this game for 10 years. It's kind of wild to think
That
about.
is fucking crazy.
Yeah, so, and I probably will be playing it for another 10 unless they really screw it up. So, yeah, I definitely feel that. And then, yeah, being there for Shadowbringers and Endwalker, super wild ride. I like Shadowbringers a little bit better, but I think literally a little bit. Endwalker, I did wrap up that story very nicely. I'm trying to stay a little bit vague because I still want Seth to get there. I do think he'll enjoy it.
I made steps towards it.
Yeah.
I still have
You gotta finish Heaven's Word completely, but you've done the main story part of it, so
yeah. Get through the patch stuff.
And then it's like having stuff to do. It's a 10-year-old game. There's a lot of content. If you're a completionist, it is almost a nightmare to do. But if you're having fun, that's all that really matters. The Oceanic Data Center thing makes sense to me, obviously, because it's Australia, sea, and stuff like that. They're going to be awake during, as I like to refer to as degen hours. So it does make sense. Though I do think unless it has changed, the population is a bit lighter over there. So I wonder how that'll balance out. Give me an update whenever you go to do that. I do know that some people, especially if they're in a rating, will play on NA and JP servers, just so if they're up late and the rating starts to die off at night, they'll just jump over JP and raid. But I don't know how committed you might be to playing multiple characters either. So, and then, yeah, as far as honestly, with the job zone thing, I think Square should just make you not be able to unequip it once you get it. That would fix that real quick. So, but yeah, I agree. I'm excited for the expansion. I've been playing a lot again lately. had to take a break. I was playing way too much for like years, so had to take a small break. I feel refreshed. I've been playing a lot lately with specifically with Chris or Tasty Fruit, and looking forward to seeing where the expansion takes us. Specifically with the job changes, I always want to know what they're doing to my white classes. So.
Yeah, I'm not even caught up, and I'm really curious on what they're going to do with it, just because I know that they ended a story, and I know a lot of people who have played it are like, "What are they going to do?" So I'm like, "Yeah, what are they going to do?" Because they got to start over.
Well, even the way the last patch that just came out ended, it's kind of just like, "All right, need an adventurer," and you're like, "I mean, yeah, I guess that is a starting point." Like, so.
Well, they can't just rely on you needing, like, you're going to want to know where the story's going, but like you don't have to know where the story's going, because it's not like the end or building towards something you've been investing in. So like I'm wondering what kind of features they're going to be bringing with it to make it feel like a fresh, fun new start. So
yeah, they put some breadcrumbs, which is good. I don't want to say too much, but it is very reminiscent. Like you start the game and you're just an adventurer on either, a boat or a cart coming into a town. You run into the twins for a brief moment. You talk to the person is helping transport you, and that's the beginning of your adventure. Like you have no idea that there's huge long stories going to happen.
Yeah.
And this is very reminiscent of that, where like all that stuff's done, and now it's just like you're an adventurer at heart, and it's kind of mentioned a lot in the end of Endwalker and in these patches and stuff, is like the threat's over, but you're like, that doesn't mean anything for you. You're still going to go be an adventurer. Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay, well, I'll see you guys later, and I'm going to go find another thing to do. So I'm very much butchering how that all goes, but
yeah, no, I get it though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that you found us in 2018, which seems so long ago. It's so crazy to think about, because you've been around for a while for sure. But it's interesting that you found us because of Final Fantasy 14, and then doing a 14 again in 2023. So it's been a while. Apparently, I had taken like a 3-year break from the game between the last time I played and just recently.
Hopefully, a shorter one next time.
I don't imagine I'm gonna take 3 years off from it. Those 3 years were weird in the world, but yeah, that's really kind of cool to be able to come back and have that conversation again and have you join us for that. I'd be curious to see what I said back in 2018, probably similar to what I say now, because I'm not fully invested in it, but I appreciate the game. But yeah, it's cool to hear how much you're into it. Obviously, you and Chevy could probably talk about it very easily. It's also nice to have a comment on here that Chevy can say more than 2 sentences about. So definitely the right subject. But yeah, definitely cool. It's kind of like a little anniversary for you when it comes to calling back on when you first found us and a shared interest. And we'll probably put the game back on our Game of the Month list eventually anyway, because I kind of have a rule with MMOs that after a while we throw it back on the list if we want to play it again, just because MMOs evolve. So it makes sense, to not just throw it off the list forever. So we'll meet back again when it comes to doing Game of the Month for Final Fantasy 14 in maybe a couple years. I don't know how long it'll be, but I'm sure we'll be playing it between now and then anyway and talk more about it. So although I wish I was further into the game, because it'd be cool to do like a 14 talk like show, but I'm not far enough into the game to even be able to have that conversation. So, but I've encouraged you and Chris to try and do that sometime. I think that'd be an interesting thing for people who play 14 and follow the channel, but obviously we're old and work, so time's a factor.
Well, I'm not very good at like conducting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's the rough thing, and I can't really do that if I don't know what the fuck is going on in the game mostly. So otherwise, I just ask you guys, and you guys tell me. So, and then I don't know anything about the servers, the data centers, Oceanic Data Center.
In the last couple of years, they opened a server in Australia. So because they notoriously get screwed in that department, they always either have to connect to Asia or the West Coast of the United States.
yeah.
And their ping is always garbage. That makes games like super hard to play. So they actually were, because enough of people living there were playing 14, and so they invested and put a data center down there. So they have their own server hub. And then this year, they also revamped JP and EUs to be a little more like up to date, and they added another one, JP, and then NA just got a new one as well in preparation, just in case a bunch of people surge back in for the expansion. They don't want the same mistake to happen that happened last time, which was people couldn't log in.
It's a good sign for an MMO to be expanding servers. So
yeah, they invested millions on it. So
yeah, no, that's cool. It's cool to hear. So, yeah, overall, glad you joined us for this conversation, and the one originally in 2018 where you found us, and glad that you're enjoying the game and that you're a lifer like Chevy. I will invest more time in it to try to get to that point where I feel that invested in it, but I do like 14 quite a bit. I do think it's one of the best MMOs out there. I think that's a really easy claim to say. Yeah, thanks for the comment, and thank you everybody for the comments, and yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for joining me for this conversation, Chevy. And we'll roll the outro. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of TasteCast, episode 195. We're getting close to 200. I got to figure out what the hell we're going to even do with that episode, because it's a big milestone for the channel. But as always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on our socials and streams. Links down below. Check out our Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us in audio form, we have a Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel more than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you're brand new. And I have a TikTok down below if you'd like to watch my shorts or watch the altered, shorter versions of those TikToks on shorts here on YouTube. I have to alter them because I typically make videos over 60 seconds on TikTok, and you can only do 60 seconds on shorts, so I do what I can. Yeah, but I've been Seth, and until the next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.